Hello, people. How are we all doing? Where's the cope hat? I have a good piece of cope.
Okay.
The
Yeah, yeah.
Seahawks have a winning record.
Good cope. Good cope. Yep.
Good
Yep. Yep.
cope, solid
Yep.
cope,
Yep. Yep.
irrefutable cope.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
For now,
Just facts. Spitting facts. That will at least be the case for 7 more days.
hmm,
Mhm.
I like your shirt tie.
Thanks.
Yeah.
That you're not the first person to give that shirt a compliment today. I
Although
guess
the
it's
hat
I
is
guess
confusing me because the hat looks like a Houston Astros like hat.
that I also get that quite often. I like this hat
Yeah,
though. It's a dope hat. I like the
yeah,
orange.
sure. It just looks like
Yeah.
the Astros went weird.
I know. I know. It's also got purple. I don't know if you can see that. It's got like
No, I
purple.
think maybe some yeah, a tiny bit. Yeah, yeah. Why? What does the color scheme mean? Is there a meaning behind it?
No, it's
Is
just
it
some
Thanksgiving?
it's just sure, yeah. We'll go with that. We'll go with that. Um Today was not a great Thanksgiving. If you're a fan of a
My
certain
Thanksgiving was
football team.
lovely. I had spaghetti bolognese.
Oh, okay. I had some
Yep.
fruity pebbles.
Okay, there you go.
Some very sad fruity pebbles.
Yep.
But they did make
W.
me feel better.
I'm drinking a cup of tea, but we've run out of milk, so it's just like a black tea. It's a
Right.
bit the tannins are intense.
Do they have fruity pebbles in the UK?
Well, yes, but you'd have to go to a special shop.
Okay, it's like one of those things where it's like, is it like an imported food snack type of shop like we talked
Yes.
about? Yeah,
Yes.
gotcha.
Ty and I talk about that a lot.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
we actually did have a conversation about this the other day, though.
We did, yeah.
Yeah.
Henry, you're saying glad you turned off the TV in the middle of the second quarter, but Henry, you missed the best part of the game. Like you straight up missed the comeback.
You missed the part where the Seahawks decided to play football for a quarter.
Yeah.
Um, I gotta be real. I got pretty close. Like the Dallas
I
fumble
mean,
happened, and I got very close.
my television was on, but like, was it on? Like,
Right.
I was,
Well,
I was,
I do have to admit that I switched to my phone and then played video games while watching on my phone.
nice.
Yeah.
It's gonna be a
So
detailed podcast then.
yeah, this is
I
gonna be very detailed.
I spent like a fair bit of the game and then halftime into the kind of third quarter comeback part. I spent a lot of it editing clips of the Seahawks messing up the fire zone coverage that they also messed up on a third down conversion.
Mm-hmm.
Just normal behavior.
Yep. Great. Yep.
Why can't the Seahawks play middle field open, 2 deep, 4 under, fire zone coverage appropriately? Why can't they have a take back player for 2?
Right. Split flow
Y-
drive
Yeah,
takes number 2 back for a
that didn't
3-yard gain.
happen.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh yeah. So I guess we could start. Do you want to? No, actually, what am I talking about? Ty, do you have any Mariners preamble? Did anything? I guess we should talk about the big event today
Right.
in the podcast. But do you have any thoughts about the trade which you'd like to share with your favorite Seattle podcast? Geno over part 1.
Geno over. Oh man, yeah, it hasn't been a particularly good last 24 to 36 hours to be a professional athlete named Geno in the city of Seattle, Washington.
Yikes.
Yeah. The trade, I've thought about it more. I've coped my way into thinking that there's another shoe to drop. I'm just waiting for that shoe to drop. So we'll see. But I have coped my way into believing that something bigger and better is on the horizon.
There you go.
So there you go. That's the cope. The cope is it's November 25th 4th now for me here in Toronto and for you in the UK.
Mm,
There's a lot of off-season left. So
true.
plenty of time for Mariners Twitter to continue to act very freakish.
Mm. Mm.
Mm-hmm.
Bosa got the better of Forsyth over and over again. We'll talk about that, Christopher. Nuigash, Pete is just a garbage head coach. Don't blame coordinators. We can deal with that. Vince asking, I wonder if Paul Allen, if he saw this game today, if he'd be finding a replacement. Feels like the Jim Mora era right now. Wow.
Wow.
Yikes.
Damn.
The vibes are so bad, Matty and Ty, says Benjamin. The vibes are pretty bad. I can't.
It's not great. It's not great. It's not great. And if you're also a Mariners fan, the last couple of days have not been great.
Yeah. I mean, the Kraken released those jerseys.
Kraken released those jerseys, and they beat the living hell out of the Sharks last night, like 7-1 or something like that.
Oh, so Kraken heating up.
And
they're Kraken in here.
And they're currently in the second wildcard spot right now. So there you go.
What do you that jersey reminds me of like an ice lolly, like ice, like the light blue and the white and with the red.
Yeah,
I want to lick it.
It's very like candy-esque. It's very Christmassy. It's very Christmassy. I enjoy it.
Yes, I do too.
Yeah.
There you go. Good news.
That's Kraken talk with Matty and Ty. Matty F hockey. I saw your baseball analysis. I saw your analysis of the trade.
I was early as well. I mean, you know, I have a feel for the game of baseball, I think.
Did you see that I answered your question on the show on Monday?
I was alerted to that by a loyal listener of your show.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Who has said loyal?
I understand you in just a friend, but
I
understand you in a predicament there. You know, you read my question out, and then you got the heat for it a bit.
Right. Yeah.
What disappointed me though is I submitted.
Colby got a little jealous.
He did, which is fair, which is understandable. Like, who wouldn't?
Right. Yeah.
What I didn't like though is the question wasn't answered. Like, it's a very simple question: when is Shohei Otani signing? Now, I didn't ask for a date or time.
Did I not answer?
You know, a week? Not really.
Oh, I apologize.
Well, so you don't even know if you answered it.
I don't remember. I just remember Colby got jealous, and then I had to manage his feelings. Right?
Yeah, that did. I could tell you were like, "Oh no, this is a disaster." I can sense so much jealousy right now. I need to handle this.
Right.
Yeah.
I needed to manage his feelings. You know, talk him off the ledge a little bit.
Yeah.
And my answer must have just gotten lost in the fracas. I will answer it for you right now directly to your face.
And then a good coverage linebacker was brought up. Imagine having a good coverage linebacker. That would have been cool.
Right. Yeah. He doesn't like
who
your
needs that.
Cody. He's a anti. He's a Cody Barton suppression.
Okay, fine.
Yeah.
But kind of unfortunate what you saw today in the middle of the field.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I said suppressor. He's a Cody Barton suppressor. Yeah. I will answer your question now though, directly to your face.
Okay.
Now that we're here. Otani is expected to sign before the winter meetings, which are December 4th. So 2 weeks, 10 days, however many days there are between now and December 4th. So maybe within the next 10 days, we will have an answer.
I've been trying to get the Bing AI to get like a picture of Otani in Seattle Tacoma Airport.
Right, yeah.
It doesn't like that. It says that I'm abusing the software.
Really?
Yeah.
Maybe it's because it knows that that's actually going to happen and it doesn't want to get copyright struck by the Seattle Mariners in Major League Baseball.
Right.
So
potentially.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Okay.
It's good cope. Good cope.
Shall we do this podcast?
Yeah, let's hit it.
Welcome to the Seattle Overload podcast, where the Seattle Seahawks, in the most important game of their season so far, have been defeated at home 31-13 to the San Francisco 49ers. Seattle falls to 6-5 on the season. The 49ers sort of go out further in front in the NFC West, going to 8-3. And this was a really disappointing loss because of how important this game had been for Seattle. They now have to travel on Thursday to the Dallas Cowboys. They then have to travel again to the San Francisco 49ers again, and they then host the Philadelphia Eagles. So it doesn't get any easier from here. And the players after the game speak of this being a playoff stretch for them, even before the playoffs that they're hoping to get into, and they should still get into, even with the NFC as a conference looking shaky. There's 7 spots, and it would be a monumental collapse for them. But Ty, this game was rough.
Poopy is another word that you could use to describe it.
Yep, sure. Poopy.
Yep.
Kind of summed up 24 points given up in the first half, Ty, and Seattle just getting 3. The offense did nothing. I mean, go on. Choose somewhere to take this.
It was bad. I'll say that. This was a terrible effort across the board in the first half. Everything that could possibly go wrong for them pretty much went wrong. You have Geno tripping over the foot of Zach Charbonnet, which assisted in the field position struggles that they really had. The 49ers had some favorable starting spots on quite a few of their drives in the first half, which Pete Carroll mentioned in his post-game press conference as a big issue in this game. They had some really unfortunate penalties. The defense obviously greatly struggled on the first drive of the game, giving up the touchdown. They get the big kickoff return from D. Eskridge, and then only muster 1 yard on that drive and end up having to kick a field goal and miss out on a great opportunity to respond to that opening touchdown drive from the 49ers. Geno looked pretty uncomfortable to start the game and seemed like he was trying to kind of find his footing with, obviously the injury and try to get a little, a little more comfortable and find his groove. And that didn't really happen. They just looked really disjointed offensively. It was, it was really bad. And then obviously, that all culminates in the fumble by DJ Dallas. When they had an opportunity to have a 2-minute drive there at the end of the half, they would get the ball to start the second half. There was an opportunity there to really swing things in their favor, and then they end up giving up another field goal after the fumble, and then they drive down the field with like 30 seconds to go and they put together a really nice drive to put themselves in field goal range, and then Jason Myers misses the field goal. So just all bad all around for the Seahawks in the first half. And this was kind of an example. And I know that they started to threaten a comeback there in the third quarter, but this is kind of an example that sometimes you can win a game in the first quarter. So pretty brutal stuff tonight.
Yeah, so a lot of the players have mentioned how they started the game poorly and they got themselves in a hole. And Pete Carroll mentioned that the whole first half was just a disaster, basically. Now, if we kind of explore that first drive from the 49ers, where it's Shanahan's opening script, it's pretty obvious that, one, he's messing with how Seattle's defense is constructed and their mechanics, how they set the front. There's some good plays in that regard. He's also got some okay coverage beaters, but largely that was a drive of getting Bobby Wagner isolated on certain things and making him look slow, and it was pretty sad to see it, but he completely exploited Seattle. I mean, on that first drive, the 49ers had to convert just 1 third down, and they marched down the field so convincingly. Just made it look just easy as hell.
So easy. Yeah, that's the thing today. Everything looked so easy for the 49ers, and then simultaneously everything looks so hard for the Seahawks.
Right. And then kind of matching that theme, the offense it was basically every other play was a self-inflicted mistake from the Seahawks in that first half. It wasn't really a forced error from the 49ers. It was just crap from the offense. There was Metcalf dropping the football. There was Metcalf, Geno throwing a bit behind Metcalf, but Metcalf getting tugged a bit as well. There was Charbonnet tripping up Geno Smith and almost resulting in a safety. There was,
and this is the team. This is not the team that you can mess around with. Like you can't do that. You can't do that.
And the annoying thing is, it's kind of a bit like how the Bobby Wagner thing's been a problem, which is there all year. A bit, and I don't want to scapegoat, but it's a thing. A bit like how the offense has stalled through periods in the season and punched themselves in the face, basically. It recurred again, and good teams are the ones who are going to exhibit that. It's why Seattle has been able to get away with errors against your Washington Commanders or even your Cleveland Browns, who have a good record, but they're poor offensively. So, but this is a complete team that they're playing up against, and you're going to get punished. And they were just so inadequate. And I can't really believe what I was watching, and I was sort of wondering when it was 24-3. I was kind of wondering how bad is this going to get?
Yeah.
Because I was wondering, like, this could be end of a whole Pete Carroll tenure thing. Like, this is really, really bad for it to be such an important game, such a big opportunity, something you've all spoke about. The fact you've lost last season all 3 times to this opponent. Surely you're going to come out and play some more complete, cleaner football, and they were just unable to do that. And
yeah,
I there's a lot of plays we could talk about in that first half.
Yeah. Well, I think another thing we should talk about is some of the individual efforts in this game were poor. There's obviously like the play where Spoon had Juwan Jennings wrapped up like 3 yards, or he was trying to wrap him up about 3 yards short of the first down marker, and then Reek Woolen, I think Trey Brown, maybe it was Quandre, can't remember.
Trey Brown bumped him off. Reek Woolen wasn't tackling him; he just stood there.
Yeah, and Jennings somehow is able to get the first down, and then Reek Woolen got benched, right? And Pete said after the game that he had a shoulder thing, and they just felt that he wasn't all the way back, and that they sat him for that purpose, and that he wasn't able to tackle properly because of this shoulder injury. But if I'm not mistaken, he still played special teams. So that just, to me, what Pete's saying, that just kind of feels like him protecting his guy, like he's done so many times in the past, and that they just outright bench Reek, which is not a good look at all.
No, it's absolutely not. And there was another play where McCaffrey came off was running, and Reek Woolen was in a coverage where he's kind of designed to show up as the force defender on that play. He had the opportunity to make a tackle and just kind of stood there, let the guy go past him. So yeah, they put Mike Jackson in. I saw Mike Jackson make a few tackles. I don't think he got worked too much in coverage. He obviously has experience on that right side, but yeah, they made the move with Woolen. It did feel like Carroll protecting him. Now, defensively, they did make in the first half. How many times did they force the 49ers to punt? I believe it was 3 times. I think they made 3 stops.
Yeah, and again, they were working with a short field quite a few times over the course of this game. So, like the 49ers are so good, like they're going to get their points, even if they're going up against an elite defense. They're going to get their points. That's just they're that talented, and they're that well coached and that well schemed. So that stuff is going to happen. And like the opening drive, the Seahawks got absolutely worked, but it's going to happen. time
It's
to
the
time.
opening
Okay.
script, and you
Yeah.
kind of have to hand it to Shanahan for having a masterful opening plan.
Sh-
He often does.
no one breaks the defense's rules better than Kyle Shanahan. It's just that he's nasty. Like that's just the fact of the matter there.
Yep.
But I think the defense didn't play a terrible game. I don't think it was
No.
I'm not gonna say it was good, but I don't think it was terrible. I think it was
Yeah. So let's talk about that from a statistical standpoint, and then we'll deal with the offense, because I think
Mhm.
the offense was straight garbage for the whole game. Now, Seattle allowed 377 total yards overall. I think Brock Purdy was 21 of 30 for 209 passing yards, one passing touchdown. So they did an okay job in the passing game. The 49ers kind of hit their chunk plays towards the end, and I think Seattle allowed 9 explosive plays, possibly more, but I think 6 of those were pass plays. So, but I think the real issues in the pass coverage were Bobby Wagner. But ultimately, the defense, where they'll be really disappointed, is the fact that they, on 33 carries, they allowed 169 rushing yards at 5.1 yards per carry. And in particularly bad, Christian McCaffrey had 19 carries for 114 total yards at 6 yards per carry average, 2 rushing touchdowns. I mean, that's just unacceptable and not what they were looking to do. Now, schematically, I wondered if they were going to play, especially to the 49ers being 21 personnel, 2 running backs, 1 tight end, and 22 personnel team in the main, is at least 70% of their snaps are in those personnel groupings. I wondered if Seattle would play some more base 3-4 personnel, but instead they just played their big nickel look, and for them that's just over. But schematically, even though they may say they were committed in the fact they're playing quite a lot of 1 high coverages, it didn't help them stop the run, and Shanahan kind of just worked it, and also I think Seattle lacked a way of changing the picture. So that's something you could ask a question about, and it's something which is disappointing. But after that slow start, Ty, the defense almost got them back in the game, and it's kind of unbelievable that it's happened because of how the game's gone on since and what the offense did. But Jordan Brooks, the pass is tipped at the line of scrimmage from Jaron Reed on a rush game, where it seemed in the second half, Seattle, especially how they were running their pass rush games, and as they have often done, put in enough of an adjustment, enough of a different appearance to cause some issues for Brock Purdy in the pocket. And then the ball is tipped by Jaron Reed, and Jordan Brooks, after they disguised what they were doing coverage-wise, just caught a very simple ball in the right area at the right time and returned it 12 yards for a touchdown. And that made it 24-10 49ers with 11 minutes, 23 seconds left in the third quarter, believe it or not. And at that point, Ty felt like there might be a chance, kind of.
Yeah, I mean, well, they also put together, a nice drive after that. But then they get into the red zone, and it looks like a lot of the red zone trips this year. And there was also kind of a big no call there. With Ambry Thomas kind of pulling on JSN's arm there. That could have definitely gone the Seahawks' way.
Yeah, that no call was nuts. Like it's second and hold on, let me find it.
It was like second and 7.
Second and
second and goal from the 7 or something like that.
Yeah, second and 7, and JSN extends his arm, but the DB pulls it, and we saw on the flip side, George Kittle managed to draw a flag from Trey Brown, which was on a passing third down and extended the 49ers drive, which they scored on in the first half, where Kittle runs shoulder first into Trey Brown. Trey Brown's defending inside his own end zone. So at a certain point, he's like, I'm going to get separated on here. I need to try and, if they push, I will pull. That's kind of the coaching point. And the way he's hugged Kittle, and Kittle's also hold his hands up and sold it, draws the flag, experienced play from him. But yeah, if you're going to call that, then the JSN play where the guy's literally grabbed his outstretched hand and yanked it back, to not call that is unusual.
Yeah. And like, all right, so think about that. Like, so if that does get called, or if they do connect there, Geno and JSN connect there, score the touchdown or they're able to get into the end zone some way
Yeah.
on that drive, it's a 7-point game at that point, assuming
Yeah.
that
One
Myers
score
makes the extra
game.
point. Like that game gets completely flipped on its head. I mean, it already kind of felt that way because you have the pick six, then you get them to go, I believe, 3 and out right after that. And then, you I think it was like 3rd and 9 with the ball at like the Seahawks 10 or 11 or something like that. And then the JSN catch, which was
The
insane.
one-hander. Yeah, that
Yeah,
was
the one-hander.
amazing catch.
Insane.
34 yards. Yeah.
At this point, I'm watching the game without sound, but I did see that they were like showing the OBJ catch a lot.
Yep.
I think the OBJ catch is better, but like that was a great catch by JSN, for sure. I don't know what they were saying on the broadcast, which is why I mentioned that I wasn't listening with the sound on, so I don't know if they were saying it was better than OBJ,
but to your point, Ty, they started with the ball at their 10-yard line, and they end up marching down the field to the San Francisco 7-yard line. And then, if they call that and score, it would have been just the whole momentum felt very different.
Yeah, you get pick six, 3 and out, and then like a 90-yard touchdown drive. Like,
yeah,
that's the complexion of that game completely changes. Completely. And when they weren't able to convert there down in the red zone, and another 3rd down sack in the red zone, that just kind of, it just gave the momentum back to San Francisco, and it, well, I don't know if it necessarily gave the momentum back to San Francisco. It just kind of took the wind out of the sails of Seattle, and so, yeah, I mean,
well, what didn't help?
I don't know
Ty,
if they
is that on the 3rd and 7.
I was just gonna say, like, I was just gonna say that, like, it doesn't, like, it doesn't necessarily, like, I don't necessarily think that they would have won had that happen, but man, they have a much better shot. I kind of felt like that was kind of the game there. Like that's kind of what it feels like, at least in retrospect.
Well, yeah, because they ended up having to settle for a field goal, and they instead had an 11-point deficit. But even then, it's not like they conceded immediately afterwards on defense. They got another stop.
Yeah.
Now we'll talk about that drive in a second, I guess. But just the reason they kicked the field goal is on the 3rd and 7, tight man coverage across the board, and Seattle is just relying on basically Noah Fant to win on a crossing route into a post safety, and they're sending pressure, so not great. Difficult assignment for him.
Mm-hmm.
And then the next read on the play looked like an out route, which was a deep out route, so long developing, and was absolutely clamped up. Everyone was clamped up, and it's all kind of relying on receivers just to win their one-on-ones. There's no like picks or rubs or like separation concepts to get open. So it's basically a disaster. So not the best 3rd and 7 call. And I mean, you can pick any offensive drive, but I guess like for me, the momentum started to really, really die out when on that drive where they're only 11 points down. So with 14:52 left in the 4th quarter, kind of a now or never territory, especially with how good the 49ers are offensively. 1st and 10 from the Seattle 29. Geno completes a 7-yard pass to Tyler Lockett, and then it comes back on a Zach Charbonnet illegal shift penalty. Then they try a screen play to Charbonnet, which is a loss of 4 yards. So then it's 2nd and 19 from Seattle's 20-yard line. Then they hit Tyler Lockett for 11 yards, brings up 3rd and 8, which is still a pretty disastrous situation. Then Collinsworth says Geno could have thrown it up on 3rd and 8, where it looked like Metcalf was coming over. He looked like he was open to start off with on a shallow crosser, but then by the time timing-wise that he'd throw that, it didn't look like Geno would have been able to get it there. But also, the interior offensive line gave up basically the timing that the twist took to run. It got immediately open for the timing of the twist. So it didn't really look like Geno could have made that throw. We need all 22 to see what was going on downfield. I think what's weird about that to me as well is it looked like he was reading deep to short there rather than, okay, they're doing man pressure. Let's have a primary concept designed to throw short of the sticks and pick up the yak for the 1st down. But after that sack, that was kind of a mess. The 49ers get the ball, 11:22 left in the 4th quarter, and they put together a 7-play scoring drive with a 28-yard explosive passing touchdown to Ayuk, where he kind of just rooted up with a spoon, got away with a bit of a push kind of thing. But yeah.
Yeah. And that's and they're like that's the game right there.
Yeah.
And yeah, it just they miss the big opportunity there, which is the red zone trip. And I think at that point that's just kind of like I also the subsequent drive after that for sure, but I still think that only getting 3 in that situation just killed them.
Yeah.
Like they had to get that ball in the end zone. And yeah. Just really, really disappointing because it's again, it's what we said after Sunday's game. It's just same stuff, different week. Just a lot of the same issues for this team continuing to crop up again and again and again. And it feels almost in a way that I'm watching the same game over and over and over again.
Yeah, because the offensive approach is fairly similar each week as well. It doesn't feel dramatically different, at least. And ultimately, this game, Seattle's offense finished with 220 total yards. So that's the third time this season they've been held under 225 total yards, and it's the 7th time in the past 3 seasons.
Yeah, they've gone 20 straight drives without a touchdown, and I believe that's the second time this year that's happened, or a stretch of like 15 plus drives without a touchdown, something like that.
Wow. Yeah. The 49ers had 6 sacks on Geno Smith. Now, some of that was the ball not coming out. Some of that was the offensive line having issues with interior twists. Some of that was the offensive line being put in clear passing down situations where the tackle's one-on-one with Nick Bosa and it's Stone Forsyth, and he's not got any help. There's a kind of mix of things you can look at there, but the pass pro did struggle today. But ultimately, just the offense for the whole game really did nothing, because even Ty, as we spoke about that big D. Eskridge kick return, he had 2 in this game, but the really big ones that start off Seattle, where they had to settle for 3, there's the self-inflicted stuff we spoke about. There's Geno perhaps being off target. There's, and why I say perhaps is I need to look at it back because I don't know about the tug to get in the undercut position. In the first half, Seattle's offense managed just 55 total yards, and they also...
I honestly can't believe it was even that.
No, I think a lot of that was towards the end, like when...
Yeah, I think it was that last
They basically
drive.
just had one drive, 54 total yards, and let me find how many actual first downs they had, because that's got to be looking rough.
Yeah, it's got to be terrible. Their third down numbers must be atrocious.
Oh no, they had 56 total yards. I don't know what I'm reading. First down wise, they had 3.
Yikes!
Wow. Whereas the 49ers had 16, and just the balance of that 49ers offense / the what a run game can do for a team compared to the contrast of Seattle's, where not for the first time it just looks so disjointed and messy. It's just absolutely astonishing to me.
Yeah. It was these two teams were in separate galaxies from one another.
Yeah.
It's appalling. Like, frankly, like it was shocking to watch. Because I didn't think they were going to win this game going in, especially on a short week, given what happened on Sunday, given the everything going on with Geno's elbow and all that. But I didn't think it was going to look like this. I thought they were going to find a way to make this game a lot closer and a lot more respectable from start to finish than it actually was.
Geno Smith said how his arm didn't affect him. I don't think any of the throws looked wrong necessarily.
Right.
The pick to Tyler Lockett on the sideline, the timing for that play where you're a quick play action. The corner just undercut it and made a really good play, but it's also a hard throw from the structured design. Geno probably shouldn't have thrown that, but it's a type of play which has to be thrown fairly early, and I think it was. I just don't think the corner believed Lockett was pressing vertically. Yeah. It is interesting, the receiver's skill set, because Lockett on the season hasn't really had that vertical threat that you're used to seeing out of him. Some of that's the quarterback not being able to connect with receivers on the deep fade ball this year so far. But I also think it's, Lockett hasn't really been getting opened vertically. He hasn't really been given many fade routes. Now, DK Metcalf in this game, he had three drops.
I remember 2 off the top of my head.
And
because Griff is not here, I'll say it for him. DK needs to pronate his hands. That was for you, Griff. Love you, Griff.
He was kind of just, they were very wide, and he was just like trying to almost squeeze the ball.
Yeah. The one drop on the curl, right before the JSN catch.
Yeah.
Like he's like, his hands are like this.
Yeah. It's like
how are you
not how you
expecting
catch a football?
How are you expecting to catch a football like that?
No.
Yeah.
No. So that's it. Let me get to the chat. Need some cope. I feel like the Seahawks are in limbo right now. Not good enough to compete for Super Bowl. Not bad enough to accrue more talent. Thank you, Duck on Quack. The super chat feature. I mean, we try and read comments, but if you want your comment read out, that is one way to do it. It's fairly intuitive. And Duck and Quack also says almost feels like a 54% effort. Lol. Haha.
Good one.
Well, hang on though. Percentage-wise, this is going to show how stupid I am. What's 6 and 5 as a percentage?
Oh no! Oh god! Oh no! Oh no!
Not quite, is it?
I have a. Oh no! It might be. It might be. I'm bad at math, but it might be.
Yeah,
hold on. What percent is 6 out of 11? Oh my god! Oh my god! Oh no! Oh, I can't escape it! I can't escape it!
54.5454545454. Oh dear!
I'm having flashbacks. I'm getting the flashbacks, Matty.
So
this is not a safe space for me anymore.
And to Mr. DePoto's point, Seattle would make the playoffs with this record. So
that is
DePoto
true.
knows ball.
True. DePoto knows ball. DePoto's in the wrong sport, clearly.
He is. Yeah. There's just so much bad things to talk about here.
I'm tweeting that. Hold on.
Now, defensively, I've talked about Bobby Wagner, and I've talked about the fact that they played nickel for basically the whole game, and Cam Young, the big rookie nose tackle, was inactive, which was probably the first sign of that plan. But why it matters is it means that even with Jamal Adams as the big nickel type, they're only going to run an over front. So they can't really get into any under looks, and they're just lacking another big dude on the interior. And when the 49ers get into their I formation stuff, the 2 in the backfield stuff, they just have less options and just less bulk. So I think that's a coaching thing which you could criticize on the defense. And then another thing is that that Deebo Samuel catch on 3rd and quite a bit, and some other things as well. It to me speaks of sloppy defensive details and the coaching being carried out. Because I tweeted out the clip. I'll just retweet it now for those of you following me on Twitter at Matty F. Brown. They've been having problems with the specific like coverage concept they're running, like middle field open, so 2 high safeties, not like a cover 2, cover 4, cover 6, cover 8 type of thing. The techniques they use when they blitz with that look have been having issues with certain route patterns of like who has this guy shallow, who has to take this across the formation. And a lot of it is kind of Bobby Wagner's just dropping to a deeper spot in the defense as though he's playing a deep zone, even though they're pressuring and everyone else is playing a bit tighter, which creates a void in the coverage. I just don't understand how that doesn't get addressed when you're in, week 12, week 11?
Yeah, week 12.
Week 12.
Yeah.
How does that not get addressed in week 12 of the season? And you can say similar things about both sides of the ball and some of the mistakes, the repeated errors that are happening. Like, this is the period in the season where offenses are going to start exploding, I think, because they have kind of caught up to how defenses are playing and they have their tendencies and their numbers. So you better not have any sloppy tendencies that teams can exploit if you're a defense. And if you're the offense, I don't understand how it's not possible that you can't put together a drive. I mean, said they had 3 first downs in the first half. Well, the second half isn't that much isn't that much better. Let me try and find that. But yeah, it's just a mess. It's just such a mess.
Yeah.
And I don't really know. Yeah, I don't really know where they go from here. Really, they just got to get. I guess the good news is this isn't. There's still time for them to sort some of these problems out. But the problem is their schedule is not very forgiving, and they're going to face good teams. In the first quarters, the 49ers outgained the Seahawks by 148 yards, which is their second biggest first quarter edge under Kyle Shanahan. The first biggest was the 170 yards the 49ers outgained the Seahawks in week 4 of 2021. So Shanahan's been doing that to Seattle defensive structures and then clamping up their offensive stuff too.
Yeah. So you tweeted that could we see some in-season coaching changes?
Well, I tweeted that because I tweeted that after the sequence where Seattle gets down to it's like really do or die time. It's not even do or die time. Everyone's bloody probably turned it off. I don't know how many people watch this live. But Seattle drives down the field kind of on their offense. And then no, I can't actually believe that happened. Yeah, anyway. So on the third and short play, they tried Geno Smith's sneak, which is stuff for no gain. I think everyone would be fine with that process. You have to go for it. There's only 4 minutes, 45 seconds left in the game at that point, and they're behind by 31-13. Yeah. So it's all kind of a moot point. But then on the 4th and 1, they line up no huddle, up tempos, as though that's the plan, and run a really long developing shotgun play up the middle, which takes ages, and the 49ers are all geared up to just stop an inside run anyway, and they're just like, thank you very much, and stuff it for a loss of 1. But it just takes so long, and I just don't understand how that type of thing happens. And so I tweeted about the potential to have a in-season change. The offense keeps making the same mistakes, and it's not just at the quarterback position, it's not just at the offensive line position, it's not just at the receiver position, it's everywhere.
Yeah.
So, whereas the defense has up and down spurts, and they do play some solid football, and like they didn't jump off sides today. I know that you think that would be a basic, but it shows that they've kind of bought into the penalty discussion, and that the penalty thrown on Trey Brown was kind of a ticky-tacky moment. They didn't seem to have that many other penalties. I know Seattle in the game had 5 for 39, but I need to see how many of those were on offense. Anyway, but the offense, I don't know. Pete Carroll is always going to stick by his guys, but it's like inoperable right now. Like they are so bad. Like that stat you shared about 20 drives without a touchdown. How does that happen in the NFL when you have DK Metcalf, Tyler Lockett, Jackson Smith and Jigba emerging, by the way, and Metcalf's playing absolutely poor, really, really poor. Don't get me wrong on that. Tyler Lockett, I wonder if he still has that downfield ability.
Right.
The offensive line has, but that goes hand in hand as well. So just talent-wise, going into the season, we expected so much more out of this offensive unit. It was the defense where we were like, oh, do they have enough on the interior? They've since obviously added Leonard Williams. We were also worried about Bobby Wagner in some coverage scenarios and what that maybe meant for the rest of the structure. But the defense is like on they're average to good to slightly bad. Like they're like middle of the pack with the potential to be better. Quandre Diggs after the game mentioned complementary football. And how that needs to be a thing. But the offense cannot you know, you need both sides of the ball, and the offense is just
Yeah,
just
this is
terrible.
what makes this so frustrating. We talked about this after the loss to the Rams on Sunday, that they are too talented for this. They are. They have way too much talent to be this bad. Even with the offensive
Right.
line injuries, they have the talent to adapt to difficult situations, to difficult circumstances like they have right now. They're just not doing that. And I think that like everyone shares in the blame to a certain degree. 100%. Geno, the offensive line struggles, all of those factors, all of those things factor into the struggles. But I do think that the common denominator here is the offensive coordinator. And I don't think that the coaching is putting a one of the most, in my opinions, talented offensive personnel groups in the entire league in the best position to succeed. And I think that's fair to say at this point, 12 weeks in, because you've talked about it. They're not adapting at all. They're doing the same stuff. And again, like I said earlier, I feel like I'm watching the same game over and over and over again. This shouldn't be happening with this personnel group. This just shouldn't be happening. They have arguably the deepest receiving room in the NFL. They have one of the best tight end rooms in the NFL. They have a quarterback who can do everything. Like, he can make all the throws that you need him to, and he can be that point guard for you that Pete Carroll wants. You have a nice stable of running backs that can help you create an explosive run game. You should be better than this. And you're not. Like, you're performing like one of the worst offenses in the entire league. Why is that happening? It has to be, at least to a fairly significant degree, coaching, right? Like, it has to be like there has to be something schematically wrong here. And you would know a lot more about that than I would. But just trying to use common sense here, right? Like, trying to work through this. Like, it just, there's something that's not adding up here, because these guys are too good for this. Like, too talented for this. Or maybe I'm just wrong. Maybe I'm just wrong. Maybe they aren't as talented as I think that they are. But I don't think that I'm wrong about that. I really don't. I really believe that the ceiling is so high for this group of players. And I'm concerned that they're kind of letting that go to waste right now. And it's frustrating.
Yeah. And it's the self-inflicted stuff too. The like, I know Pete Carroll mentioned, you know, if there's one way of explaining it, is them being a young team, and if the other penalties might be people trying too hard, but these are veterans who are doing it. Like, DK Metcalf's your highest paid player on the team, dropping the football, um, losing the red line, not getting his second foot in bounds on that deep sideline catch. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, it's not just the young guys; it's everyone.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the 49ers are a good defense. Don't get me wrong, but they didn't have to break a sweat in that first half in particular. They
No.
had they were just like, oh, you keep crapping your pants, like,
Yeah.
thank you.
Yeah. And again, look, I the offensive line issues are obviously like a big reason for all this. Like, I don't want to understate that. Like, it's obviously a problem. And obviously, like, continuity is a big part of that as well. And they're literally starting a 41-year-old at right tackle. Like, I get it. I totally get it. But
Well,
again,
yeah, but they've had what's disappointing about the offensive line to me is they've had 4 of the projected 5 out there for the past 4 games.
yeah.
And they like trying to sprinkle in like a mix and like a rotation, like putting Bradford in for a few right guard snaps every now and again.
Mm.
But like, we expected them to be good, and the Haynes signing has not panned out as they would have been expecting either.
Mm-hmm.
And then Lewis is not having a great year. Evan Brown seems to have regressed. Cross is looking all right, but it for me as well is the way that they keep getting beat on like the same kind of interior stunts and twists and having issues handling those things. And then the general lack of movement in the run game is wild. Like,
Yeah.
um,
Yeah.
yeah.
And that's really like the key to all of it too, because you need the run game to work at least to a certain degree, because a lot of their stuff is based on play action and whatnot. Like they need that. They need that to work to a certain degree, and it's just not. So because they're just like they're a good drop back team, or they can be, but they need to be able to dive into that stuff a bit more consistently. And the run game is just not giving them really much of a chance right now. Yeah, but still, again, like the point still stands for me that this personnel grouping is too good for them to not adapt to some of the issues that they have up front. So
Yeah, that's kind of my sentiment. But you know, maybe they're just maybe the line's just not good. And we
yeah,
kind of overrated it. Maybe we're seeing what they're true they are, and
yeah.
yeah. Now, one thing defensively that I've just seen is, and I don't think this includes today, so it'll probably be. Let me just double check if it includes today. Oh, it does. Seattle has the Seattle has the fourth worst red zone defense in the league.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
They allow 66.67% of teams visits to the red zone resulting touchdowns.
Yeah,
which
and that's
isn't great.
And that's obviously a bit even a bit more disappointing when compounded with the fact that red zone offense is down this year.
Yeah, that's a good point. The worst in the league is Chicago at 75%. The best in the league is Tampa Bay at 33.38%, showing what is achievable. So that'll be something that they need to visit. Yeah.
So yeah, it's really disappointing, and the last 4 weeks have been enlightening. 3 of the last 4 weeks at least been pretty enlightening. Yeah, it's hard to be optimistic with this upcoming stretch. Especially, it's not like they're going to have an extended rest here in between games like you typically would after a Thursday night game, because they have another Thursday night game next week. So, yeah, it's just kind of a brutal time for all of this to be happening. I don't really know how they're going to be able to fix it. And, I could say all I want about Waldron and how I feel about that situation, but no guarantee that if they make a change on that front that it's going to fix anything. Like this just might be who they are for the rest of the year. And it's really disappointing again, but we'll see.
Yeah, I need to go back and revisit how the offense kind of fell off in the second half of last season. Feels like right now, if you can play tight coverage and one high defense, they don't have many answers for separating against that. Yeah, there's not much more to say, chat. I see we got a donation from PO. Thank you very much. The Dallas Cowboys have a old offensive coordinator, offensive line coach, and defensive coordinator. Obviously, Brian Schottenheimer is their quarterbacks coach. Mike Solari is their O-line coach, and Dan Quinn's their DC. I don't see them complaining. It's a head coach issue. Okay. PO, would you have hired Mike McCarthy then? Like, it's honestly, I think personally, with how much Pete Carroll delegates, there's an argument that he's being let down more by his assistants in certain areas. But ultimately, I saw it brought up by someone else that if Pete Carroll loses 5 games in a row, then he needs to go or something like that. Well, if they lose 5 games in a row, that is going to be yikes, big yikes. The last time that happened in Pete Carroll's career, I mentioned this in the preview, was as the New York Jets head coach when he got fired. And what kickstarted that, the first loss was when Dan Marino fake spiked the football and scored a touchdown. So 5 in a row in the NFL would be bad, and that obviously shocker.
Yeah.
But yeah, and that would speak to a more troubling thing. I think the way, I spoke about it just before the half about how this is a massive moment in the franchise, the rest of this game, and the way they responded, they didn't quit. They were playing hard. They just got out executed on both sides of the ball, especially down the stretch.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's a certain point we'll have to see. They kind of, with how tough the schedule is, they really need to step it up. And we keep saying this. We're kind of a broken record of how we're repeating ourselves. But for Pete, if Pete Carroll were to fire Shane Waldron, that would really, really in season, that would be quite the that might hint that he's feeling the pressure as well, because it would be quite a divergence from.
He's never done it. He's never done that. He's never done anything like that. So yeah, that's why I don't think it's going to happen, because we've never seen that from him. And he's always protected his guys. I mean, even tonight, right? First thing that came out of his mouth is like, it starts with me. So
yeah. I suppose the other thing we should talk about is the DJ Dallas fumble. We forgot to mention that. I mean, that is a killer as well, because it just didn't help in that first half, because is it Mitch Wisnowski? No.
Mitch Wishnowsky.
Wishnowski. I wish he wasn't punting.
Mm-hmm.
Ski.
Good one.
Nailed it.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Zinger.
Got him.
He was punting very well, and that kind of field position was so stacked against Seattle, especially when the offense was unable to get first downs. But the fumble was disastrous, because what it meant was the 49ers ended up, it was 21-3. Seattle got a stop. They could have been getting a 2-minute drill at their around their 22 30-yard line, I think. 30-yard line. So 2-minute drill, 30-yard line. They'd have had all 3 timeouts, I believe. And instead, Dallas muffs the punt, and the 49ers get the ball inside basically the high red zone, what coaches would call it, at Seattle's 22-yard line. And that's the play where they only got a field goal, but it just 24-3, that becomes a 3-score, like a absolute 3-score game. And yeah.
And then that's compounded by the Jason Myers miss at the end of the half.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you're not even able to like swap points.
Yeah, I forgot about that Myers miss. A 53-yard field goal, wide right, similar kind of miss to how he missed against Thingy.
Right. I mean, I don't want to get too broad about this, but like if you're just a run-of-the-mill kicker that's making league minimum or whatever, like, all right, fine, I can live with you missing some 50+ yard field goals. But when you're one of the highest paid kickers in the NFL and you've missed a game winner from 50+ and indoors, and then another one, that there should be a little skepticism there, so but yeah, nevertheless. Yeah, and then Stone Forsythe and I forget who else, the flipping forget who it was for the 49ers, but they flipped a defender on that play as well. And
oh my gosh, and that when that happened, I was like, what? Because Jason Peters just got hurt. So I was like, they don't have another tackle. So if he gets ejected for that, they're done.
Yeah, because Raekwon O'Neal and McClendon Curtis were both healthy scratches. Right. So
right, and Kerhan's on the practice squad, so that would have been it.
I
mean, like, it would have made a difference.
Right. Who even plays right tackle in that situation? Like, if
I think I don't even know it, man. Probably a guard. Like they'd probably put Evan Brown at right guard, Olu at center, and then Phil Haynes. Does he have some tackle background as well?
I have no clue. I have
Good luck,
no-
buddy.
Yeah. Get ready to
yeah.
learn right tackle, pal.
Yeah. Now there's something in the chat I've seen about Pete Carroll delegating. The idea that he's meddling is false. I think an example of the delegation that Pete Carroll does is, so last year when the defense was really poor, like everything, not even average, but they weren't really poor at everything, but in particular they were just shocking run defense throughout the season. The kind of evidence that Pete Carroll delegates there is that he let that coaching staff specifically go really into the kind of Fangio stuff and the techniques up front and really lean into the coverage side. And then only after the season, he's admitting that they probably got the balance wrong of how much they focused on it. Now, this year, he's spent a lot of time diving back into the scheme, fixing the techniques up front to better fit the run, which in the main has worked. But against the Ravens, the Browns, and now the 49ers, they've kind of been exposed for how, this is my belief, they kind of lack an extra few options. They sort of have one mode. Well, not one mode, but it's nickel over, they slant and they move and they pressure out of that. But ultimately, if they're not going to run maybe a different front, like under or base 3-4 against a package which would require it, where you've got two big tight ends, two fullbacks, or one running back, one fullback, or one running back, one fullback, and one tight end, like the I-form stuff the 49ers do, then it's going to get a bit predictable because it's still, even if you're moving, it's still the same look each time.
Yeah.
And also you could bring Jamal Adams off the edge, which is what they showed in the preseason. So I'm a bit surprised they didn't do that. But yeah, Pete Carroll does delegate a lot. And I think that, he speaks each week about how the offense, he wants them to be able to run the ball more. And yet it doesn't materialize really. It doesn't feel very Pete Carroll like this offense, does it? Just the way that they're bad doesn't at all. Ty, we should talk probably about Geno Smith. Like I've said, how he maybe missed DK on the 3rd and 9. The pick, the corner made a good play. I need to see it back to see if that was an advisable throw, but you kind of have to throw it early, and it looked like that was the schemed up like play to lock it on the sideline. Maybe he could have tried a hero chuck on that 3rd down where Collinsworth is critical, but the pass rush was nasty, and the concept was designed to be read deep to short. And DK kind of got clamped as Geno came to him. He kind of brought some juice to the offense with how he's extending plays, and then threw a good ball to JSN on the play where they could have thrown a flag. Really, it seemed like similar stuff to past few weeks, where from the broadcast at least, the main route concept is not open, or he's trying to give it a shot and it's not caught, and then he has to make something happen or he's sacked.
Yep. It's pretty much what it is, right? And he's not getting really enough time to go into his other reads. And it didn't seem to me that he was too affected by the elbow. I think he was trying to kind of find his footing to start things off. But overall, it didn't seem like it impacted him too much. I also did like that he was a bit more decisive tonight in terms of, taking off out of the pocket, making some things happen with his legs. They had some positive gains with that, but it was just kind of a typical Geno night as far as the last few weeks have gone, really. And again, it's like, some of it is the struggles, some of it I'm sure is Geno, but also it's the circumstances of this offense right now. It's circumstances of the O-line struggles, and the circumstances of the Waldron effect, essentially what we've been talking about here. So yeah.
Okay, so in the chat,
I'm defeated at this point.
In the chat, Jeff's saying, for what it's worth, the meddling thing isn't just speculation. Mike, do you guys implied as much in his podcast? I mean, Jeff, of course, a head coach is going to have input, but and say, if something's wrong, he'll try and give his help, and he speaks about coaching up his coaches. But like I said, last year's pretty clear evidence. And Neugash saying we barely used the Fangio scheme. Pete didn't let them implement it 100%. That's why it's so bad. That's just false. That's just absolutely 100% false. If that, I know we all have to kind of find ways to deal with disappointing losses and stuff. And that if that's your way, Neugash, then fair enough. But that's not true. And I have a lot of evidence of that. Like, yeah, sourced evidence. So,
Matty F
okay.
evidence.
Yeah, Matty F evidence. We can get into how the run defense changed and how there may be a few playbook images and all that stuff, but we don't have to do that. It's fine.
I've seen the playbook images. So.
They're out there.
Yeah. All right. Do we want to talk about the?
Yeah, Jeff. The reason that Schottenheimer was fired. I know that I can't believe I'm getting into this. The reason that happened was because the offense was very bad towards the end, and they weren't able to run the ball effectively enough when they needed to, and they'd leaned so much into the rush thing. Like Pete felt that changes had to be had. That's the job of a head coach. But the idea, I think, that he's meddling like within each precise detail every week is just not accurate. You can't coach like that, really. And he's a defensive mind, generally speaking. He'll have ideas about how he wants the football to be played. But right now, look at the offense. That's not what we've seen from Pete Carroll team. And he's never been he's not like a run coach. He talks about balance for a reason. And when, Griff's looked at it at USC when he had Matt Leinart and Carson Palmer, they would pass quite a lot on early downs. And then when they were up big, they'd run the ball to kind of kill the game. Oh, Ty. Was it a juicy comment?
No, we just had a friend or a visitor from the other side of tonight's result. That was having a little too good of a time in the chat.
Yeah, that's good. But I don't think the I guess some cope is I don't think the 49ers are good enough to beat the Eagles.
Yeah, I think the Eagles are better right now.
Yeah, their offense really, it's incredible what they're able to do in the drop back passing game when they get into those third and longs and third and mediums, and how McCaffrey said it in my preview. They were just going to get McCaffrey isolated up into the linebackers. They're going to high-low the middle of the field. They're going to hit underneath Wagner. They're going to force agility stuff, and that's exactly what happened.
And we've seen what a well-executed game plan can do against this 49ers team this year. Like I think back to that Vikings game that they lost in Minnesota. The Vikings played a very good game, and they're definitely they don't feel like this insurmountable giant. I mean, they do to the Seahawks for whatever reason, but like in the grand scheme of things, I don't view them as the best team in the NFC right now. I think they're very, very good, and I think Shanahan is cracked. Like he's just insane. But the Eagles are more. I don't know. I think they're a safer bet to me right now. But yeah, we'll see.
Then pass rush wise, did Seattle just? I said in Shannon Noah she was going to be a big loss, and that he was a really important player and like one of the best players on this defense, and they obviously miss him. I felt Shanahan just it's just this style of offense, a bit like we saw against the Rams when they go into their under center mode in particular. It's really hard to disrupt the pocket because Shanahan will move it. He'll add extra people in protection. There's a balance to it. You have to honor the run part of some of it. It's just a tough offense to get consistent pressure against. Although obviously a Nwosu out there would be nice.
Yeah. Also, Frank Clark inactive today, which
is odd because he didn't show up on the injury report. So
yeah, it was a healthy scratch.
It was a healthy scratch. I wonder. Yeah, I wonder what's gone on there. I felt actually in his last game he was getting up to speed a bit with how Seattle was playing. Blocks in the run game and the kind of stuff they ask of their outside backers this year. But and he outsnapped Derek Cool in the last game, so maybe they did that knowing he'd get a rest this game, or maybe they're like, you've played too much, you're done here. I know Derek Cool had one tackle, but I didn't really notice him tonight.
Yeah.
It seemed like probably a big game for putting Draymond Jones on the edge of the defense, but I'd need to go back and watch.
So, do we want to talk about the,
Well, the 12th man flag raiser?
Yeah.
The 12th flag?
Yeah. 2-time Cy Young Award winner Blake Snell raised the 12th flag tonight, folks. I don't know if you guys noticed that. He also just so happens to be a free agent and just so happens to be from the state of Washington, and just so happens to have been telling people over the last few weeks that he really, really wants to be a Seattle Mariner. So clearly what this means, guys, is that he's going to sign with the Mariners tomorrow. Let's just lock it down. Like, it's happening, obviously. Totally. Matty, you're the baseball guy here. Give us your thoughts.
Well, my thoughts on this is that he can throw the ball.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
He can throw the ball well.
That's accurate.
Now, what I'd be worried about was this a come and get me plea to the Giants? Obviously, the Giants are a San Francisco-based team.
Right.
They play baseball.
Yeah, he was on his Earl beat tonight. Come get me.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
I think he's playing both sides.
Gotcha. He's leveraging. He's competing.
Yeah, it's just leverage.
Right.
I mean, it is actually great leverage, like prime time on Thanksgiving. Hey, that guy's still a free agent.
Right. Yeah, this definitely means that he's going to sign with the Mariners, and totally has nothing to do with the fact that he's a lifelong Seahawks fan and grew up in the state of Washington. Whatsoever. It has nothing to do with that.
Nothing to do with that.
Not at all. Nope.
No.
Chills.
What's his best pitch?
Probably his fastball. The problem with him is, like, he cannot he walks a lot of dudes. Nice. If we're gonna be serious for a second, let's be serious for a second. A lot of people really want Blake Snell in Seattle. He's like the anti Mariner pitcher. Like, he does not control the zone at all. Walks a lot of dudes. I know he's won 2 Cy Youngs, but he's had a real problem staying healthy and not walking guys. Strikes out a lot of dudes too, but walking like 4 guys per 9 innings pitch. Not great.
Uh-oh.
Yeah.
Well, I'm sure that won't go wrong to the very successful Mariners team.
I have heard some things that they might be looking at a pitcher, but they might be aiming a little bit higher than Blake Snell.
Oh, so now he just looks desperate. That's sad.
Right. Yeah. He wants them more than they want him.
Yeah.
It's one of those deals. But
I guess.
Yeah.
So, just finally, someone saying the team needs an identity. Lee, good to see Lee. On both sides of the ball. The problem is, what could it possibly be? Waldron definitely got to go. He just can't seem to call plays that works for his talent. I think really the whole identity thing, that only becomes an issue when you're not scoring. And you don't get first downs, and then it looks more disjointed. But you could certainly apply that to Seattle's offense right now. Because they're just bad. They're bad. And it's interesting because they completely revamped after they lost to the 49ers in the playoffs. They spoke about needing to get more dynamic up front. They spoke about how the battle was lost in the trenches. They spoke about the 49ers being the kind of benchmark team for them. And they revamped their defense in front. They completely changed it up. They changed up their scheme and the techniques they were using up front, mainly just the techniques. But offensively, they didn't really do anything. They got Evan Brown in because Austin Blythe retired. But in terms of the trenches, nothing really changed. So the only change is with the forced one of Abraham Lucas, and they would want him out there. Ty, I said before that Abraham Lucas not being able to play in this game after returning is a bit concerning, and I worry if this, not only is it going to, make him up in the air of whether he can play next week against the Cowboys, but is it also a case of it could be like a career-threatening thing? Obviously, we're from the outside, but having a sore knee for this long, something which first started in college and is then cropped up in the off-season, he's been trying to deal with it, can't, then it holds him out of week 1 until this point, and it sounds bad.
Yeah, well, especially if we remember kind of the messaging from Pete before he went on the IR was like, oh, this isn't new. This is this is a thing that he's been dealing with for a while, and he should be fine. And then he goes on the IR 2 days later. Yeah, I'm concerned. I'm concerned about that a little bit. I don't know if it's a career-threatening thing. I would like to think that he'll play more football. I hope that he'll be able to play more football because the Seahawks kind of need him right now. But yeah, as far as this year goes, I don't know. I guess we're gonna have to see next week. Yeah, it's not great. It's not great. Rohan asked, which free agent pitchers are better than Blake Snell? There's a certain pitcher coming over from Japan this offseason that I would consider to be better than Blake Snell. I like Blake Snell. Good curveball, but walks are an issue.
Is that does that pitcher's name begin with Y, or am I wrong?
It does become with a Y.
Is it Yamamoto?
Yeah.
Oh, right.
There's actually some smoke there on Yamamoto and the Mariners right now. So
is he good?
He's amazing. He's very good. To me, second best free agent in baseball after Otani. So
wow, he's 5'10" like me.
There you go.
Just weird. We're so similar. I also throw a fastball averaging 95 miles per hour.
Give us
splitter.
Give us the splitters pretty sick. Give us the full scouting breakdown on Yoshinobu Yamamoto.
He's from Japan.
Yep.
He's 25 years old.
Facts. Yep.
He is the 2-time. Well, hang on. I don't know how baseball scouting reports work.
This is fine. Just keep going. You're doing it.
He has international experience.
He does. Yeah.
You
could call him Mr. Worldwide.
He won a gold medal.
He did. Yeah, he was part of that Japan team. Yep.
He has great command of his pitches.
Yep. There you go. You're scouting. You're competing.
Yeah. It's his splitter is a legitimate out pitch at the big league level.
You're really competing right now. Yeah. That's good. That's correct. Yeah.
I know baseball. A lot of people doubt that. I sense, but no.
We don't call you Matty F Baseball for nothing.
No, people do say that as well.
Yeah.
The Seahawks haven't scored an offensive touchdown in 7 quarters, and they have just 3 in the last 4 games.
Nice transition. Proud of you.
Geno Smith. Yeah. I still believe in our coaches. I still believe in our players. I think it's been a tough stretch for us, but I believe that things will turn around. Geno also said he felt like he'd been working 20 hours and that maybe he should work 24. So we're on no time to sleep territory.
Oh, God. Yeah. He's on his grind set, Matty.
Do you have any thoughts on Steve Aoki, Ty?
The
Is he
pursuit.
from Seattle?
I don't know.
I don't think he is.
It's Tanashi.
looks-
Is that
he-
how you say her name, or is it Tanash? Is it just Tanash, or is it Tanashi?
I mean,
Is she from Seattle? Because she sung the anthem.
she might be.
I
She
heard.
sang a good good anthem.
I heard that Blitz got hit with a cake.
She's
I think
from. That can't be her. Lexington, Kentucky.
She's from Lexington. Apparently, Steve Aoki's from New York.
No, not true. He's from Miami, Florida.
Oh, okay. Mr. 305, Mr. Worldwide.
Yeah. But it was. Why didn't we get to see the full halftime show?
I don't know.
Because we get to
NBC
see it on CBS
Satan.
and yeah, they are. But
Yeah.
it was a bit. The bit they did show was the I think he was doing Pursuit of Happiness.
Great song. Great remix.
Yeah, but it was funny because it was just after Jason Myers had missed the field goal and it was not. I mean, they were trying to pursue happiness, but like
Right. They were really on the pursuit of happiness. Yeah.
Yeah, like
I'm on the
keep hunting for
pursuit
it.
of happiness. I'm screaming out.
Yeah.
Fuck that. Fuck that. Fuck that.
Okay, Ty, we're gonna get
Yeah, we're gonna get demonetized. Because that was a very accurate representation of that song.
Right, yeah, not for the cussing, for the copyright infringement.
Yeah.
So I hope you all had a good Thanksgiving. Did someone call you? Oh no.
What did Father Thanksgiving bring you for Thanksgiving?
A lump of coal. Yeah.
I'm on the pursuit of happiness, and I know.
Right. Well, I think we're probably done. You know, I think we've covered this about as well as we can do.
Yeah.
Witherspoon did some good things. That pass breakup he had, where he was in cover 3, his guy went under, he kind of took it and then peeled back up to 3 up, which is a beater because they released the back, so it was actually like 4 up. Got the hand in the way. He did that against the Bengals when he undercut a crosser against Jamar Chase and hit him in the back of the helmet. The Eskrid 66-yard kick return, we spoke about that. Leonard Williams had a few hits on Purdy, didn't he? And he had that screen pass which he read for a tackle for loss.
Yeah, I feel like he had a good game.
We didn't see Kenny McIntosh, which I know people were wanting to see, but like ultimately his way onto the field is a passing down back, really. And I don't know if they trust his pass pro. But also Charbonnet got the bulk load of the work, and then Dallas is the passing down back in that instance, so that's probably why. Yeah. I just think overall for the team, they're almost in between a rebuild and trying to be good. Like, and they have some big decisions to make in terms of like, what's the future of their linebacker position? Because Jordan Brooks' contract's up. I think he's earned it, but we'll just have to see what they think. I know they view him quite highly. And then Bobby Wagner is on a 1-year deal. And as we saw tonight, there's certain elements of his game which have declined. Safety position, Julian Love's contract they have an out. Quandre Diggs is earning a lot of money. And I believe he's playing really well still. And he had some big hits in this game, but I know fans are worried about him. And then Jamal Adams could be... and that, I mean, he is making too much money for his impact right now.
Yep.
And, you know, the injury stuff as well, as much as I like Adams at his best and what he brings. So... And then on the offense, so, I mean... If the offense doesn't pick up, ultimately the quarterback is going to be become a thing of, and then it's like Tyler Lockett's old. DK is what right now? Like he can't win at the routes he's meant to win at.
Yeah, I know
So
a
where
lot
do
of
you
people
sort of
are
take
like,
that?
I know a lot of fans are like, they should trade DK, which okay, I can talk myself into, but like, what is DK actually worth right now? Because he's making a lot of money, and like other teams are going to see what we're seeing right now. Like, I don't know. Like, is it actually going to be worth it? Like, yeah. I think
Yeah.
I think the safety room is going to get completely remade in the offseason. And maybe even the linebacker group too. Like this defense is probably going to undergo significant turnover.
Yeah, it kind of has to. I mean, they're paying right now the second highest spend on defense, but that's mainly because of the sunk cost into that safety room.
Yeah.
Um,
I think they can save like, let me hold on.
yeah, they can. They because it could be that Jamal Adams returns to Seattle because I don't really know who else is gonna.
Yeah.
It depends
It's
how they
just
handle all that, but you just can't pay him what he's gonna earn next year.
yeah.
Yeah,
You
so
can save
Monjombo points out that Tyler Lockett, DK Metcalf, Condre Diggs, Jamal Adams are 40% of the next year's cap. That's crazy.
yeah. You can save 11 million by cutting Diggs. I think you can save like 13 by cutting Jamal.
Yeah, and like I think Diggs is a really good player still, so I'm not sure I'd do that, but
Yeah.
they've definitely got decisions to make.
And then I think you can also cut Love for like 5 mil, 6 mil. But you want to do that as well. So, but
What's frustrating to me is the linebacker position. Like, if the linebackers last year had been able to play in the way that the defense is playing this year, they'd have looked so much better. Like Brooks, look how Jordan Brooks, the opinion of him has changed from last year to this year. And I know he doesn't have to focus on play calling, so that kind of helps you mentally. But really, the techniques up front being just more obvious is just so much more apparent of how that helps him.
mm-hmm.
Yeah. What? Sorry, Ty. I did I interrupt you?
No. Ooh, I get to ban someone
Oh,
again.
oh.
That was fun. That made my night a little bit better.
Majombo asked about Devin Bush. Is he shown the ability to do anything alongside Jordan Brooks? They've re-signed him. I'm not sure what they would do. Will require the will. Majombo, yeah, but Bush played really solid in the preseason. Looked really good, and he can run. So,
yeah. I don't know if you interrupted me. I don't remember if I was talking or not at all. I'm kind of like I'm over this game.
yeah,
I'm over the Seahawks right now.
yeah.
I'm over Seattle sports in general right now. I'm gonna need a couple days to recover. Yeah. So what we learned today, Jerry knows ball, 54% and still in the playoffs for the Seahawks.
Yep.
Chills.
True.
Did it again.
Facts.
JSN, dope catch.
Dope.
Catch. Yep. Offense still doing the Seahawks offense thing, unfortunately. Yeah. And Pete Carroll is 0-1 in action green hoodies. That's the other thing. Boom.
Oh, was that a new look?
That was a new look. That was a new look.
Yikes.
And
Yikes.
yeah, he's gonna need to retire that one.
Yeah. Put that in the trash.
Yeah. How about we just get rid of those uniforms in general?
Oh, you don't like them?
Not a fan, Matthew.
I've said this before. I like the action green top with the blue bottoms. It reminds me of Apple and Blackcurrant sweets.
They do look better with the blue pants. I will give you that.
Yeah, the all green is a lot, especially
would-
when you lose.
Did they have the all green? Why can't I remember? I literally just watched this game like 2 hours ago. Did they
Yeah,
have the
it
all
was-
green end zones? Did they have the all green
Yeah, I
end zones?
think it.
Because no, I know that they wore the all green uniforms, but did they
I
have
don't
the
know.
green end zones?
I don't know. That's a good question.
Because that's not it. That's not it at all. But I would like to kick those things out and get white throwbacks. Personally,
In this game, Seattle's offense went 0 for 4 on third down in the first half, and then in the third quarter, 1 for 3, and then in the fourth quarter, 2 for 4. So overall, they were 3 for 11 on third down.
yeah. Not going to win a lot of football games doing that, especially when you're going up against San Francisco 49ers.
The dumb thing as well is they're gonna just say the same stuff, like because we're seeing the same stuff. They'll probably see the same stuff, but obviously at their coaching perspective and their access. But like, how much can you keep saying the same stuff before like, hello?
Yeah. Pain.
Oh dear. Right, shall we wrap it then, Ty?
Wrap it, Matty.
Well, hope you all had a Thanksgiving. Make sure you follow Thanksgiving.
I hope you all had a Thanksgiving.
Oh my
3
gosh,
for 11
Ty.
I can't escape it.
It
I can't
keeps
escape
showing up.
I can't escape it. I can't escape it.
Fred Warner wears. Bobby Wagner
Oh
wears.
my god. Oh no. Two same players who are clearly playing at the same level right now.
Yeah. What's wild to me is the when the offense like stopped like doing dumb stuff to themselves, like they actually did move the ball a bit, and then in the red zone they just they didn't get the flag, and then on 3rd and 7, like it was like, oh, the 49ers defense, you can actually move the ball on them, like if you're not like just like
poopy whoopy.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So hope you all had a good Thanksgiving. Follow Ty at Dane Gunzelers. Follow me
That's
at Matty
me.
F. Brown. Follow the podcast at Seattle Overload. Please do give us a 5-star review. Thank you for the donations tonight. Like the video, comment down below your thoughts on the game. Like I said at the start, they have a winning record, and I think the cope is there will be significant change if they don't improve, and this stretch is very difficult. So they need to start winning, or there's going to be a significant change, which you'd want if they didn't start winning and correcting some of these problems and not just making the same mistakes each time. So
what we're saying is make us the coaches.
Right.
Well, Matty can be the coach. I'll be like the high. I'll be the get back guy. That'll be my job.
Right. How are the Portland Trailblazers doing this year?
What?
They're 4-11. Okay.
That's
They'd lost 8
definitely
games
not,
in a row until beating the Jazz.
at least that's not 54%.
Well, if the Trailblazers are worse than the Seahawks, I feel like that will attract the attention of a certain Allen.
Yes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Thank you, everyone, for spending your night with us. Goodbye.